Boom, 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 boom. We're back.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What a fucking win, bro. Come on.
Oh,
that made me hard.
New Year's Eve, biggest loss of the season. It felt like, I don't know the actual stats, but it felt like it. Today, biggest win of the season. So, you got some highs and lows.
50 points, bro, without Shea.
Yeah.
150 points.
Look, this is part of having a young team. But one of the best parts about having a young team is you get to see what their potential is. And we saw a lot of that this game.
Oh, it was unbelievable. The way that we were getting up the floor, the way that we were creating more shots tonight or last night was truly spectacular. And to me, when you have a young team and learning team, it's every possession, every fucking possession, it matters, right? Mm-hmm. It's a learning experience. It's an opportunity for these young guys to learn. And I love the way that we play because the style of basketball that we're playing, it's how many extra shots can we get in a game? And it's as simple as that. How many extra times down by pushing up the floor, by getting open layups, by getting open shots quickly, how many extra possessions can we get a game? And I love it because every single time that we get the ball out there, we're getting a learning opportunity. And we saw some unbelievable play by these guys last night. The way that we were playing team ball, taking the shot when it was open, driving hard to the basket. There were so many things that were truly spectacular that just took my breath away. I mean, there's no other way of expressing it except the way that everything just went all together, just unbelievably, the flow of it was beautiful. We had right, Kendrick Williams at center.
Yeah, dude. And Giddey, the tallest starter. But you guys know how it is. It's Dave, it's me, and our good buddy Chencho. Chencho, tell us what you thought about that win over the Celtics.
Hey, man. I couldn't sleep after that one.
Yeah, it was huge.
It was like I drank like 5 Red Bulls in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I got all charged up, man. That's how I felt, man. It's like,
I can't stop smiling since yesterday. And the third quarter was amazing.
Man, that third quarter was like, when you go to a party and you go into the medicine cabinet at a party and you pull out all the meds out of the party and you put them in a big old bowl, right? And then everybody just puts their hand and he grabs a couple, right? It's like that day that you grab a couple and you grab, 2 of the blue pills. You know what I'm saying? You get like those pills that make you hard. And that's exactly what happened last night, man, in that third quarter. It was like, what the fuck is going on? It's like everything was just beautiful, man.
Dude, it was crazy. And like you already mentioned, Dave, everything we saw was without Shea, which he's out with an illness, which is, you don't want to see anybody out, but that's a very low, long-term consequence we're hoping. So, like, they were looking at it and we're like, hey, guys, maybe we don't need to win this game. You know what I mean? Maybe if we compete for 4 quarters, that's a win against the best team in the NBA, right? And then we play really well. First quarter, we're up. We're taking it to them. We feel like, hey, like maybe this could be a 10, we're up at 10 points, and then they close it. They take the lead. So it's like, okay, maybe not. And then boom, 10 points again. We're up and we're like, I don't know, like this could be that game. We just kept building the lead, but there was this looming sense that this is the Celtics. And we saw them when we had a good lead in Boston earlier in the season, really put the pressure on when Shea came out of the game in the fourth quarter. They picked up the pressure, they created turnovers, they got out and ran, and they closed the gap and they won the game. So we knew that they were going to try to put some pressure on us, but we saw a different Josh Giddey. And he really handled it. And so there was a bunch of players who played really good. But I want to start by tipping my hat to Josh Giddey because he took it on himself to be a different player this game. And he really had a big second half and really the whole game. His passing, but his finishing at the hoop, finishing over people. I was impressed with Giddey.
Yeah, and you should be because what Giddey did tonight and leading the team like he did was truly spectacular. The ball was in his hands. He still wasn't that ball-dominant point guard that we've seen him be in the past. He was still moved off guard, but I loved it, man. I love the flow of things. I love the way that it looked. But for me, the person that stood out was JDub. Jalen Williams, the way that he played defense last night was fucking insane. 4 steals, guys. 4 fucking steals. And here's the thing about it. He could have had 6 easily. He got his hand on the ball a couple times, but couldn't get the ball. I loved how JDub played. He is becoming, in my opinion, a top 5 draft pick in this last draft. easy right now. And I think people are starting to take note that JDub is fucking real, and people are really, really impressed by it.
Or Gentry, did you guys, either of you listen to the Boston Celtics announcers? I did. And
me too.
yeah, they got really excited about JDub. Like, Scalabrini was like, okay, yeah, he's the best rookie in the West. You know, already was giving him that. And then that was right around the time JDub started just dunking on everybody, yo. And it was like, wow, man. Wow. What about you, Chencho? Who stood up for you today?
It's difficult to choose, man.
Yeah. No doubt.
I took some notes and I wrote that Giddey had absolute control of the game. He was managing everything. He was directing the traffic, all the players, and he shot very well. He shot 3 of 5 for 3 and for 2. I don't remember, over 50% too.
Yeah, 10 for 15.
I think it looked like a different player, like you said. This is like a version of what I think he could become when, on a nightly basis, when he's fully developed and we have a full healthy squad. But when I'm still impressed by JDub's arms, because he reads some balls that I don't know still how he can do it. They don't look like they are his arms. They are like from the 7-foot center, like Wembanyama. I don't know.
We call him Go Gadget arms. I don't know. There's a show back when I was a kid called Inspector Gadget, and he had unlimited length in arms. He just go Gadget arms. That's what it looks like, man. JDub with his Go Gadget arms. And real quick, I'll say 21 points for JDub and 25 for Josh Giddey. Go ahead, Chencho.
I think the dunk by Isaiah Joe, the one.
Wow. Yeah. He caught a body. That's what we say around here, man. And what a game for him, too. 3 for 7 from deep, 8 of 13 from the field, and 21 points. But like for me, what impressed me the most, on everything about his game impressed me, but his rebounding. When he goes up for a rebound, he snatches the ball, and we were having trouble getting rebounds in so many games. And when he's out there competing for rebounds, he's a positive. And you don't expect that from the littlest guy on the court. But his, once again, long arms seems to make an impression and an ability to do it. I've seen him go up for dunks before and not get them. This is the first time I saw him get one over someone, and it was spectacular. It was like, he's had some moments, but that's got to be the moment of the season for him. And when he was laying on the ground, like looking at the court, just laying there, smiling, he knew it was a moment he never wanted to stop, like, living. You know?
Yeah, and it was a sequence like 3 or 4 dunks in a row, maybe. JDub and Tre Mann too. That one was amazing too. And the Isaiah Joe, another 2 times JDub, like. I don't know. They was they weren't defending anymore. Like it was like they didn't try even.
The Celtics announcer said it, and they're kind of making fun of us in the first quarter. They said, "Look, they don't have Chet, they don't have Jang, they don't have Poku, they don't have JRE, they don't have any other dunkers. They're not going to get any dunks on us at all."
Yeah, because they were missing Robert Williams, so they felt like it wouldn't matter.
And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, they haven't seen JDub dunk. Well, they're about to see JDub dunk, you know? And then Isaiah Joe pulled that dunk out, and I was like, what the fuck? You right? Because we saw Tre Mann do something similar in the prior game, and it's just kind of like, holy shit. Like, we got 42 points out of Tre Mann and Isaiah Joe. And what they were able to do in shooting, averaging out at 50% from the three-point line. I mean, those two guys, they shot 62 and 42% from the three-point range last night. This is insane. Like, this is what you want to see from these guys. Like, these guys are coming off the bench, and they're getting open shots. You got Tre Mann got 8 open threes last night. I mean, 8 open threes. Like, there was one that I would consider slightly contested, but he shot everything that he was given, And the same thing with Isaiah Joe. There's a couple of heat check shots that he had there, But you have to say is that if these guys can come out and they can come and play, 20 something minutes, 25, I think 27 and 32, but 25 minutes, and they can put in, 15 points by shooting lights out like that, and you can get 30 points from your bench, in a game like this. This is huge for this team. And I know this is not going to be like this every game, but everything was just going right for us. And the fact that we put 150 points up on the board, I mean, what are we like now? 3-1 when Shea sits out of the game. So think about that. We're 3-1 without Shea. And it's because of the way that we move the ball. We attack. And when Shea's in the game, we rely on Shea a lot to do a lot of the attacking. But you take Shea out of the game, and how does this team really wrap themselves around getting this win? Is because we don't change the mentality. We just go harder and harder and harder. And you see these guys getting, coming in and out. Josh Giddey had 25 points, and I don't think he played in the fourth quarter. He only played 24 minutes in the game, and he had 25 points, just fucking dominating. And that's what happens when you have a team that's just dialed in and drive, pass, drive, pass, drive. It's annoying as shit, especially when you have a bunch of what Boston Celtics fans would consider a bunch of no-namers that just beat you.
Yeah, and you mentioned, both of you guys are talking about how great that bench was. We had two guys off the bench who scored 21 points. Tre Mann and Isaiah Joe. I would argue that we're tough to beat when we get that type of production. But on top of that, our starters, we got all of them to get double figures, 3 of them to score 20 plus. And so, we can talk about, and we should, Lou Dort, because he had a great game. But we need to tip our cap real quick to Aaron Wiggins first, because this guy has been waiting for his turn, and every time he gets an opportunity, he goes out there and plays incredibly. He had a game where he just did the right things at the right time over and over and over again. And, I think that's, as much as anything, it's not all because of him, but as much as anything, the reason this team won was because everybody was doing that one thing, was making the right play at the right time. So you can never discount having that fifth starter or that other player who maybe isn't as well known, who breaks down the defense and makes the right play and knocks down the shot when they're open. So it was a quiet 17 in some ways for him, but it was just doing the right things at the right time. And obviously, Lou Dort, he has second leading scorer for the team with 23 points. Just ignores what everybody says he should do, plays at a high level, draws charges on screens, defends their best player, and then goes out there. And now 2 games in a row, I think he's put up 20 plus on the Celtics. And that's got to be kind of burning when they're looking at Marcus Smart and they're like, yeah, he can have good games, but I mean, he kind of took himself out of this one.
I mean, when you get ejected, you get taken out of, right? So, but I want to go back to, what we're seeing with this offensive team. There's a revolution, I call it revolution in the NBA of offense. All these people and all these guys right now are breaking out and just having phenomenal games. I think we have 88 or 89, 40 or more point games this season. That's truly incredible considering that the record has been held since 1961 and it has 142 games of 40 or more points for the players. So we're going to probably break that record this year. And it's truly spectacular if we're looking at this team and we're saying, here's a team that's truly well balanced. We could get, 3 or even 4 guys averaging 20 points a game out of this team. And I think that that's something that we're looking at and saying, people are like, whoa. Well, listen, Shea, Dort, Josh, and JDub, right? And that's not adding Chet. That's not adding any of these other guys that have potentials of averaging 20 points a game. That's just looking at, what people like to call, the sight look, or looking at it and saying, okay, these 4 guys are my choices to averaging 20 points a game. Now, if you add Chet in there, then I don't know what you guys want to say. Averaging 20 plus points a game and having a multitude of guys doing that is the key to being able to dominate the NBA for the next decade. In order to be able to dominate the NBA for the next decade, we're going to be able to have to play against guys that are averaging 35 points a game, because that's the way the NBA is changing. So how do you combat that? Well, you have a very well-balanced team, and we watched that last night in an incredible way, just incredibly balance in the aspect of driving, shooting, making sure we got the stuff done. We watched the small ball that we've been talking about. Add Chet into that, and we're still a small ball team with Chet, which is crazy to even say because of the way Chet moves. So it's truly incredible and truly special and truly spectacular how that win we pulled out of our hats last night, and we were able to watch this team put things together that some of us didn't think were going to be put together for a long time.
One thing.
Go ahead, Chencho. Go ahead.
I like to watch this type of movement when Shea is in, because sometimes I think like we depend so much on him when we don't need to, and sometimes he holds on to the ball maybe too much a few times, but there are some times that he forces his shot maybe too much for what we have on court. If it's true, and we think it's true that he trusts his teammates, he should hold on to the ball a little bit less in some occasions, because if we can play like yesterday with Shea, maybe not exactly, because yesterday we didn't have any ball dominant players, but I think the best version of this team is with Shea adapting his style to the play we saw yesterday, and I think it's not so much difficult. I think it's possible, but it has to come from him to learn or to be willing to play a little bit more of ball and move with the rest of the team, move with the flow of the offense. That I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think. I mean, this is something my kids even asked me about this morning, where they were like, "Hey, like, what are people going to think? Is Shea less important, or is Shea taking too many shots, kind of thing?" And we have noticed that there are times where defenses recognize that Shea is going to try to penetrate 2 or 3 times in a possession, and if they can stop that point of attack, then our offense grows stagnant. And what was exciting about this game was they had no idea where the attack was coming from, and so it made it very difficult to defend. But if they got in and they studied the film, they would adjust a number of things about the way they defended us. And so that's one thing we don't want to like overreact, but we did notice, I think it was in the Memphis games, or game, that we kind of saw a similar thing where the ball does move better. But the one thing to keep in mind is, say you played with a player like a Larry Bird or a Michael Jordan or something like that, and they had the ball and they were looking to, they passed you the ball. Now you would feel like, hey, you should shoot, but every time in your head, you would be thinking like, is this shot a better shot than the Larry Bird shot? Right. And I think that happens to some guys on the team where they're thinking, Shea can get a better shot than me. When they're all out there and there's no Shea, they recognize that they have to be aggressive. And so as much as it is like maybe Shea should trust more, right, they need to recognize that if they can play this way with him out there, that they're a better team also. So it goes both ways. Dave, you were a coach. You tell us what you think.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, is that this has to be a give and go on both sides, is that the aggression that we saw last night has to be continued by these guys while Shea's in the game, because, we watched it a couple of years ago when Al Horford came into the game, only it was half the season, but everything just stopped the second that Al Horford touched the ball, because everybody was waiting for Al to do something. And I think that's what we're trying to, get, away from. Shea, when he attacks the hole, our offense is still moving behind the screens, but everybody's so focused on Shea that nobody's really looking at the screens and the assisted screens and all these other things that are happening behind the scenes. So for me, when you're seeing Shea attack the hole, just watch everything else, because Shea will take the better shot if it's open, but he'll pass the ball and the ball will be passed around the horn really fast and the motion will continue. So this has to be something that they continue from all these guys, and not just Shea, but from all the guys. It has to be a buy-in. And obviously we're not going to be able to look at, these guys and have Jalen Williams, J-Will, put up 8 points in 16 minutes, or, Isaiah Joe, 21 points in 27 minutes. You're not going to get that in every single game. But by attacking the hole, it's going to give these guys a lot better chances to do that. Watching Shea on the bench, you could tell that Coach D and these guys were talking with Shea and working things out, because this is about being as a team, and whether Shea's on the bench or not, it doesn't matter. Like the point is that these guys are always trying to work things out as a team, trying to figure things out, what to do, what's the best. Now, we do play against Orlando on a back-to-back night, and that was my personal opinion is what happened, why Shea got held out, is because Shea, I don't think, has played in many back-to-back nights. So if he has, it's been limited minutes. So for me, that's why I kind of felt like Shea probably sat, but I could be wrong, and he could actually be sick. I hope if he's sick, he's feeling better. And I hope he's getting back to playing with us, because I love this team. I love the way that the offense was last night, but there's no way we can redo this 2 games in a row. We need Shea out there. We need him doing what he does.
We can play at a high level for another game, but obviously playing like this against a team as good as the Celtics, this is going to be one of those moments we look back and we're like, it's a high watermark for the season. And maybe not the only one. Hopefully we'll have, we'll continue to have more good stuff, but I doubt we'll get a big win, a 30-point win against a team at that level.
Number one team in the NBA.
Top three all-time offensive outputs against the Celtics, and first 3 quarters, no team has ever scored that many points than them. So there's some things to feel really good about, and we can recognize yes, there is an element that they weren't playing very good. But in the end,
no, they sucked balls last night. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, it's true. But here's the thing. What we were able to do was hit the shots that made it so they weren't in the game. And we've had trouble with that in other games where teams weren't necessarily playing good. We get up by 20, and then they all of a sudden turn it on, the last time we were against the Celtics, and they just start bully-balling us into it. So we did the right things to maintain the lead, which was really one of the few times we've seen that happen all season, right? Or the last few seasons. But one thing that does happen with teams when their best player goes out, and it happens at every level, right, is that all the other players have to learn how to step up and be better. And when that player comes back, those players didn't lose those skills. And then you'll see a team in the college, NCAA championship, that had, a significant time in the early part of their season, their best player missed. These types of things go on to help teams. So this is just one game with Shea, but we can kind of see a little version of that. Everybody suddenly has a little bit more juice. They understand that there's going to be more expected from them. And then when they have a little bit of, trouble early, they don't have the sense that okay, they're going to get pulled out of the game. They're going to be able to work through it. So all those things work together really well. But Chencho, back to what you were saying, I think that you're absolutely onto the right thing, that it does need to go on both ways. It does, include an element of trust, but it's one of the reasons that we always are cautious when people are saying so-and-so needs to be less aggressive or shoot less times or things like that. It's because, development, it takes a while, and you never know exactly how it's going to happen. And one thing I wanted to ask either one of you guys, but let's see. We saw a lot of people, other podcasts, talking about the Thunder need to go find a center. Where can the Thunder find a center? Let me ask you guys this. Did we look onto our roster and find a center, or is this just a one-game thing? Is Kenny Hustle our center?
Well, that's the question. Here's the thing, though. Looking forward the rest of the season until we get Poku back and JRE, and JRE is still a significant time away from it with a sprained ankle. I don't think he's getting back before February. So for the next month, 12 more games, 13 more games, whatever it is, we got to look at this team and say, who's going to step up and be that center? This is a center by committee. There's no other options. We can't be sitting there and saying, hey, Jalen Williams, Will, we're going to expect you to put 35 minutes a game out there. Or Mike Muscala, we expect you to put 35 minutes a game. Listen, you can't even expect Darius Bazley to go out there and put 10 minutes a game in right now. What happened last night with Darius Bazley was mind-blowing. Here he is fighting for time, right? And then he goes and he makes a questionable play. He thinks he gets fouled, spends the time instead of sprinting back, arguing the call. It, to me, was mind-boggling, because if this is what's going on and he's having this issue of hustling, which sometimes it is, then I sit there and I listen to the Celtics announcers talk about how Bazley hasn't put any weight on since joining the league and how that's concerning. Listen, I am looking at Bazley and saying Bazley's not happy. But he's got to find that happy spot. because his team's going to move on without him. And we need somebody like Bazley that can play that center position and forward position. Otherwise, this team's going to get in trouble. And to me, it's not about having a true center. It's about what your scheme is against teams that have true centers. And if we can avoid getting a team like playing Bam from over in Miami and having Bam having a 40-point game against us because we have no center, that's what we're trying to avoid. That's what we want to avoid. So can we do that? I don't know. But we were able to do that with only allowing Embiid to score, 16 points the other night? So to me, like, there's some hope with this. There's some hope down at the end of the rainbow that this team can figure out how to play a team defense to stop a center.
Yeah, I don't know why other teams aren't attacking the paint. Well, we don't have literally any protection, any person that can make you scared of doing it. I think maybe with time and maybe some wins, the teams start to take it more seriously, because I don't know, they don't have a true center. So yesterday that Williams was out, but I don't know, because once the teams start to attack the paint, we'll know by then. But for some reason, they are happy with making us with living by the three, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't fall, and it's okay for us. And the thing you said, Dave, I agree with you at 100%, and I think it is gonna be good for the future of the team to having to adapt to this situation and play like a month or two without a true center, and the tallest guy in the lineup is 6'7", and JDub is with the wingspan is JDub the tallest player in the team. So it's gonna be interesting how they learn from this.
Yeah, it's definitely the type of stuff that you want to watch, because in the end, you don't understand, how far a team came unless you watched all of these types of experiences. I mean, going from last year, a game without Shea would mean we would lose it maybe by 50 or more sometimes, right? But like this year, we got a chance to go out there and do like quite the opposite. And you look at who's different on this team, right? And it's really not that big of a difference in roster. It's a difference in the level that they're playing. It's the fact that last year they were the youngest team in the NBA. This year, they're still the youngest, but they're not as young as they were. And they've added some players that are already contributing, which you wouldn't expect from rookies. But we saw JDub. I mean, you know what I think? I think that the players listened to our podcast right before the game. Okay. And then they everything that we wished upon them, all of their toast came true. Everybody, like, that's what I think.
Damn, dude. No, I think you're right. But I also think that when we're playing against teams like the Celtics that have what I would consider weakish benches, if you get past player number 7, we're always going to have an up hand, what I would consider. That is one of our strengths, is our bench. So last night, you look at, Grant Williams, Brogdon. They got Hausler, whatever his name is, whatever. But fucking after that,
bro, I was like, who's Brogdon?
Brogdon, thank you. Anyways,
Malcolm,
thank you. Anyways, you got some good players here, but the problem is that like you look at the strength of their team, right? And you're saying, okay, where is the offense, the consistent offense coming from? Well, you look at the Thunder, right? And it's the same. It doesn't matter who's in the game. It's always the same. It's the same crazy, amazing, sophisticatedly simple offense. Drive to the bucket and dish. And then you look at the Celtics, and it's like they have 2 or 3 different types of offenses because that's who they have on the floor. And it's like, okay, see, this is why it's so good. because when you have young players, right, they're all adapting to each other, learning how to play with each other, right? And it's easy to train them how to play their roles. When you're starting to look at Blake Griffin trying to learn how to play, a power forward / center role right there, and you're looking at some of these other guys that are older in the NBA right now, and you're like, man, I kind of feel bad for them.
That's what I thought too, bro. And
it's like these
them.
guys were superstars at one point, and it's like they're nobody now, and it's because they couldn't adapt their game to what is happening now, and you're seeing it. Look at our bench. Our bench is phenomenal, and it's one of the best. I would say it's the top 3 or top 4 bench in the NBA because the consistent output that we have every single game. That's what's the most impressive thing, is that if we're looking at this team and trying to break it down, is you can say, we're 6-0 when Aaron Wiggins comes out and plays, but that's how it is. It's all about this. It's all about the next man that steps up and steps up in that role that we need him to be in. And that's what I get, it doesn't matter. Our bench, it's about our bench, but watching these guys step up when they need to is the most impressive thing.
All right, I want to show you guys something. This is the Griffin family basketball from when they were back in Oklahoma. Well, they always were, but see, that stands for Tommy Griffin, and that's their phone number. And I was really close.
Hey, don't
Blake
show that
and Taylor.
online, man. They probably have the same phone number.
They don't, but
they don't.
I know. But I was very close friends with them growing up, all the way through the time when they ended up going to OCS, and then we were competitors for years. And it was like, so yeah, when you talk about watching them and feeling bad for them, bro, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't feel bad. He's in the NBA.
He's probably made close to $200 million. So,
but I'm like, why is he still playing? And why is he playing that particular role? Like, is it that he needs the money? He wants a ring,
baby. Like, he wants a ring.
I hope it's not the money, bro. And I feel like at this point, if he's ring chasing, like that even makes me kind of feel bad. Like, some players who were able to get rings that
Gary
way.
Payton got one.
I mean, but people
with the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, people like
saying like
it's not the same. You know what I mean? I feel like for me, like I wish that he was like doing something where he was the star, like taking this bench role, like. And part of it, what I feel that part of the pain is he never learned how to evolve as the game changed. You know what I mean? Like, and if he could have been an elite defender, or if he could have figured out how to play with his back to the basket and demand a double team and pass out of the double team, he could have figured out how to stretch the court. But in the end, like Blake was, I mean, he was a superstar, but now he's below even a role player on a team. And I never thought this day would come. I think for him, he should have been a top 75 player. Like, he had that potential, he had that chance, and then like it never happened. And I think like it comes down to like just not being able to evolve with the game. And so back to what I see about this team with the Thunder, and what I get really excited about is they're forcing every player to play the modern game. They're not really accepting, specialists, right? And I think that's why we see some players go to other teams, and it hurts a little bit because we invest in those guys and we like them, but we need guys that can do everything. Yeah. Attack, knock down shots when they're open, play help defense. The team out. And I think you look at a team like the Celtics, and it's like they're full of specialists. You got Peyton Pritchard, you got the big guy, I don't know his name, they got their shooter, they got their new Scalabrini, they got their, you know what I mean? And it's I like our squad. Now they're the best and we're like toward the bottom. I get this, but I like the fact that our game is predicated on everybody doing things. Some of those people aren't good at those things when they start doing them, like shooting threes and stuff like that, but through hard work and improvement. And I have to wonder if Blake was put into an environment like that, how much better would his career have been versus we're just going to have you dunk, for 28 points a game. Yeah. Every game. So I don't know. I got to shut up now.
No, but you're right. It's a valid question. It's a valid question. And it goes back to, the style of basketball when Blake came into the league. It was, Lob City, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what got you places. That's where you got to go. But the reality is that we knew this was going to happen with Blake, is that eventually when you're a high flyer, eventually you lose your bounce, like everybody does. You can't be 35 years old and still have the same bounce you did when you were 18 and 19. So for us, I watched it, and I watched him play for Detroit, and I was like, see, he's figuring it out. He's figuring it out. And then it just, something happened and it just stopped. And I felt bad because I felt like this was an opportunity, and staying in a place that he could have dominated like that for a couple of years would have trained him enough that he could go and dominate as a, as a role player in his domination role. But, like, again, chasing rings puts you in an awkward position.
But we'll see him bounce back. He'll be in the media soon enough, and nobody's going to be feeling bad for him. He'll probably start doing movies again or something like that. And good for him. And him and his brother both made it to the NBA, so nobody's feeling bad for them. But it is an awkward situation to see people. We've heard like players like, when they go to that last team and they're just collecting a paycheck or whatever, like they're ring chasing. You never see those like that as part of their highlight package whenever they're like summing up their career. So they call them like the throwaway years or something like that. I hope that this isn't like that. I hope that maybe like stashing him so that like during the playoffs, like he'll be healthy. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like he was getting garbage time. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. And I think it's going to be interesting. I think when push comes to shove is, the style of play that we're playing and why, we're looking at each team and each year as, which player is going to move out and which draft pick are we going to get, or which players are we going to, trade for that draft? Because the system that we're teaching, the style of play, the heart, the passion, it's something that needs to be taught to these kids at a very, very young age. You can't just get a 27, 28-year-old and be like, hey, this is how we roll. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't work in the NBA when you already have somebody that's essentially already set in their roles. That you can bring Isaiah Joe in because he's still in that rookie contract role. That's what you're trying to do with these young guys. And you're seeing it. It's a buy-in. And players that aren't buying in aren't playing. And it's sad for some of those players. But to me, it's showing you what this organization can do being a small market for the future. Is you buy in, you're in. You don't buy in, and I'm sorry, man, we got no space for you. Because it takes a complete 100% buy-in from everybody, because we're playing 10, 11, 12 guys every single game, and you can't have a 50% buy-in playing that many guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. Chencho, what you got to say about that?
Yeah, with the guys we have, I think we still don't have many of those players like you say, like they aren't buying in. Yeah, I basically has to be one of them, because it's not logical why he's not playing. If he's one of the solutions we could use in this case, and the situation is not changing for him, even though he's the only one remaining center we have. If you doesn't count Muscala or Jay Will, that I don't think Muscala is not a center, and Jay Will could be, but it's not. Still, he isn't. But besides him, I think we have a general buy-in, and you can see all the two-way players that they are not playing right now, like Waters and Omorugi. Everyone that jumps on the court, they are always doing things. They are defending. They are attacking the rim, and it's the best attitude, I think. And as you said, you only can do this with young people. They're still fresh, and you can still change his style or adapt his way of playing. And that's it. I think you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah, I wonder too with Bazley. I think number one, when I watch him, I wonder about his acceleration back on defense. Like when he thinks he's going to get the ball on offense, he runs hard. But when it's getting back to defending the basket, and you go back to like Lou Dort and him, they're both part of the same class, even though Lou wasn't drafted, right? Like almost not getting drafted might have been the best thing for Lou because he realized that he had to make an impact on the defense end. And I wonder if Baisley's ever really kind of accepted that. And like when I played in high school, that was the only reason I played. And as soon as I realized that, as soon as it clicked, if I wasn't going to play the hardest on defense every single time down and take the challenge of guarding the other team's best person, then I was going to be sitting on the bench. Like then I realized I could put all of my energy into a singular pursuit. And so I don't think like Baisley's done. I know what coach wants. He would rather 5 minutes of Baisley playing his ass off than 20 minutes of Baisley playing half-assed. And so he's going to like continue to push it. You see it. The question is it going to click? I still think there's time. I understand people who don't because they've seen a long enough time where it hasn't clicked. But in the end, like it comes down to sprinting back on defense, getting your body between the man and the ball, stopping the point of attack, recovering, helping, rebounding. Like if you look at what Dort does, right? He's earned the right to score 3 points, because he's committed to himself to defense so much. The team has encouraged him to continue to shoot, and now he's gotten here. And that's the order it has to happen. So getting drafted in the first round without playing in college is a tough path to realize that you're not going to make it on talent alone when all of a sudden you just became a millionaire strictly because of talent. So however it works, you see it clicked with Dort from day one. Yeah. And he was able to make his name guarding the best in the NBA. And you would like to think that for every player, like they kind of come through that realization, but it doesn't happen. But we always talk about great coaches are coaches who are able to get role players to become stars in their role. And look, this isn't like an indictment on Coach Dagnall because we've seen so many other guys do this. This is up to Baisley to figure out how he can become a star in his role.
Yeah, and I want to say right here with Baisley, what I saw last night is he got to the foul line twice, right? Then he took 3 other shots, okay? He shot 5 shots in 8 minutes and 40 seconds, okay? If you compare that in contrast to JDub, who led the team in shots last night with 18 shots, right? He shot 18 shots in 33 minutes. Darius Baisley passes that 18 shots if Darius Baisley plays 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you want from a bench player that isn't a pure scorer. Like, listen, if Baisley was our pure scorer from the bench, somebody like Tre Mann coming on, I want to see him take a bunch of shots. But if you're our defensive-minded player and you're going out there and you're taking those shots, I'm going to sit here and question why you're taking those shots. Like, is this a moment where Baisley thinks that he's much better than other people around? Is this a Baisley understanding that there's a team mindset, and because he didn't go to college and because he didn't have that G League experience, he doesn't know that team mindset? Is this Coach D trying to teach Baisley a lesson of how to hustle? Is this Baisley not buying in? I don't know. But I do know that Baisley is coming up to a line that's a proverbial line that's been drawn by Coach D and Sam Presti, and he's coming up to that line incredibly fucking fast. And he's going to figure it out or he's not. And we saw what happened with Ty. We saw what happened with Teo. We saw what happened with Isaiah Roby. It's not that these guys didn't have places with this team. It's just they met. They came to the furthest that they're going to expand their game inside of our organization, and it's over. And is that happening with Baisley here right now? I don't know. I wish that he would figure it out because I fucking love Baisley. I'm a huge Baisley fan. I want to see him get it, but he's got to give up this idea that he's a scorer.
If you think about it, like when you play like Mario, if you get the star and then you like can run faster, like I would want Baisley to have those jets back on defense every single time. And I'm telling you, he'd go from 5 minutes to 7 minutes to 10 minutes to 12 minutes, and he'd start finding himself at 15 to 20 minutes a game. If he sprinted to the front of the rim on defense with everything he had, like that would be that.
I
that
also
would be
want
the
to see him
case.
at. I also want to see him at 225 pounds, 220 pounds at 6'8", because that's what he needs to be able to be playing center / power forward in the league for the future. So
Yeah, but
I haven't
I mean,
seen that weight.
fine, but I don't know what Jeremy Sohan weighs, but it seems like they have a similar build. Baisley might even be a bit taller. I don't know, but you don't need to be beefy.
Shohan's got another 15 pounds.
But you don't need to be beefy to make an impact. If you make an impact, then you add some bulk. But if you're just like not running hard, adding 15 pounds just makes you slower.
I've never heard an announcer from a different team that questioned somebody's weight gain in the league, right? I've never heard anybody. Like the Celtics were the first time I've heard anybody question anybody. And the fact that they said the fact that he is the same size as when he entered the league is concerning. Yes, he's 22, but that's what the thing is it's all about hustle and effort. If you look at the guys in the first 3 years of the league, you see that truly care and that truly put the effort out. You see a massive body change. And to me, that's the body change that I want to see.
And they know
this year.
They know because they New Balance's headquarters is in Boston. So they were watching him when he was, that 1 year. I know that they got to see him and they got familiar with him. So they know it is concerning. But in the end, hard work conquers all. That's actually the Oklahoma motto. And I think it's appropriate right now. Chencho, what you got, man?
I think not much more than what you said right now. I agree. I like his defense, and last year I think we'll enjoy watching him play much harder on defense and blocking shots and stealing balls from other people. And I don't know, this year is weird for him. It's been weird for him. I don't see the same energy as you said, Mark. And I don't know why. I hope he doesn't get traded. But with the more time it takes, it looks like he's gonna be out in some, maybe now or maybe in the summer when his contract comes to an end. But I wish he could figure it out, because he has a good build and a good body to be a great defender. But defense is half effort, maybe more. I haven't played basketball, so I can't speak on this end, but what I heard you and other people talking is not about effort, but the main thing is effort, because Dort is not a big guy or smart. He isn't a big guy also, but he can defend tall guys. He can defend 6'10" or 7-footers in some moments. On it's effort and it's strength, and I think he has a strength, but the effort is not where it was last year.
Yeah, and
man, it's called reckless abandonment. It's putting your own body at the line, and you see every single one of these guys do it, and you can go down the line. And basically, yes, he does it sometimes, but we want to see the consistency of it. That's what we want. We want to see him putting his body on the line consistently. Yes, I get it. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar body that we're talking about putting on the line, but you have to in order to get playing time out here.
Yeah, and we definitely have seen it happen at moments, but in the end, just like this game that we won by a huge margin, a young team, it's all about consistency, and they're going to be inconsistent, and so there's growth opportunities. This was one of the best games. It is alarming to see, but in the end, I'm really excited about everything that we can build off of this game. It's just the beginning. We got another game, like you mentioned, Orlando coming up tonight. So we hope that everybody will join us after the game. Hopefully another win. We will see you guys then. Chencho, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure as always.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us, and we will see you soon. Thunder up.